Assisted suicide is a topic that has been long debated, and there's a push to make it legal here in Florida. Scott Maxwell's here with some of the details. So, Scott, what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, Rich, right now, some form of physician assisted suicide where doctors are involved with helping patients who are typically suffering from terminal illnesses, often involving painful sufferings. Some sort of that is legally allowed in 10 states. And South Florida Democratic Senator Lauren Book has filed a bill that would make it legal in Florida as well.
Now, there's been a case that recently came up, and that came out of Daytona Beach. I imagine this has some impact on this.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a pretty tragic story based on all accounts. It's the story of a 76-year-old retired special education teacher who shot her husband, allegedly, in the hospital after he was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And she said he had begged her to do so. It's an interesting case because even the police chief there described it as tragic. A detective testified that the woman's husband loaded the gun and even held his wife's wrist to his head as she pulled the trigger. And even the judge in this case described it as, quote, extremely sympathetic, but she said that Florida law wouldn't allow her to do anything else.
Man, that's tragic. Talk about Senator Book and get into her a little bit more as far as what she says about this and her take on assisted suicide.
Well, basically, she makes the argument that it makes no sense to force someone to suffer when they don't want to, especially if a doctor has told them that they are certain to die. She says it's about personal choice and freedom, and she stresses that there would be guardrails to this, including requiring a patient to make two separate verbal requests of a physician, separated by 15 days apart, and then an additional written request after that. Also, no one could, of course, request permission to die on behalf of someone else.
As I mentioned before, long debated. I imagine this bill is still going to be debated. Is there a chance this actually goes through? How far does it actually get?
It looks pretty unlikely in my estimation, and frankly, in Senator Book's as well. Republicans have not been very enthusiastic about this. A lot of the faith community are opposed to it, although some churches are divided. There are a number of congregations that and denominations that believe there is a right to do this. But Republicans have not been very supportive. Book, however, argues that right now, on the heels of the case in Daytona, and more importantly, in her mind, while lawmakers are getting ready to relitigate the death penalty and trying to make it easier to kill people even without a unanimous verdict, that this is the right time to have the discussion about honoring someone's wishes when they want to do so on their own behalf.